We are here today with two very special guests to talk about what is going on in one of our communities in this area, Machesney Park. Today we have Mayor Jerry Bolin and Village Administrator Tim Savage. Thank you both for coming. This is exciting things going on in Machesney Park. And now, Mayor, you've been mayor for 2 years.
That's correct.
A lot is happening. Anyone who drives anywhere near your community knows that there's a lot of activity. And that's what we like to talk about today. If you could give us a glimpse into what has occurred in your first 2 years, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Joan, for having us here this morning. The first 2 years obviously has been very productive and extremely aggressive toward making the village of Machesney Park, I always say, the place to be, the place to go, and the place to stay. The aggressive mode has been for infrastructure improvements, attracting new businesses, and also maintaining the present businesses there. And of course, a commitment to a dialogue with a regional teamwork atmosphere, both in municipalities and also a legislative sector. The important things to me in the village, and has been from day one as mayor, is our continual improvement in the quality of life in the village. Also the continual improvement, the values in the village, obviously security and the prosperity and the stability, both present and future. So in those first 2 years, I mean, there's a long list of new businesses that have come into our area, and also some of the businesses that have expanded. So it's been, first 2 years have been extremely exciting.
That's neat. Tell us about some of those businesses, both the new ones and the ones that have expanded. Can you name a few for us?
Oh, absolutely. The one I like to bring out is Practice Velocity, a $6 million project for them in the old Kohl's building, in the old Machesney Park Mall, which is now Machesney Town Center. They employ some 250 employees every day there. That was a big win for us. Also in the Park 173 area on the east side, we have the HMC products and the TH Foods and SCP Pool Company in that sector. One big win for us in the food industry, we had Prosser Chop House that has come into the village. And also the U.S. Army Reserve Center is now open in Machesney, which is a huge win for us. We are presently in the making of the Sauls International building. So those are just a few to mention that have come to our village.
That's really wonderful. So Velocity alone, 250 people. How many jobs have been created in these, 2 years or?
Sure. Well, Dr. Stern, when he first opened the building there, he made a statement to the village that he intends to hire 40 people per year over the next 10 years. Wow. So he's just beginning in the growth of his industry.
Nice. Oh, that's wonderful. And that really helps your tax base, because you don't have a property tax in Machesney Park, which is remarkable.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So this has to be helping your revenues.
Oh, absolutely. Just the immediate restaurants in the area of Practice Velocity, their revenue went up immediately. So that's what we're after, is attracting new businesses and keeping the old ones, obviously improving their business.
Sure, sure. And maybe Tim, you can address this. There's a lot of development with 173, just the road itself. Why don't you give us a little bit of an update on that, and what are your expectations when that will be completed, and how is that helping the area?
Sure. We continue to see very strong interest by retailers in locating on the 173 corridor. We have had a tough slog of just over 4 years now of construction. We took a break last year, so everyone is relieved to see a lot of the orange barrels coming down now. Mm-hmm. We'll have the portion of 173 east of Perryville, which will continue to see construction, adding in those lanes out to the entrance to Rock Cut State Park, and that will be all wrapped up by next spring with some final touches put on that.
Wow, nice.
And so the village has really come into its own in the last couple of years and become a well-rounded community. We created the IJRL TIF districts near the Target building, behind the Target building, and also at the 173 I-90 corridor the mayor just mentioned, and had great success out there at I-90. Who knew that there were that many local businesses that were looking for interstate visibility and a new building to go into? So
Nice.
very happy with the progress we've made there.
That is terrific, and as you said, you're a full community now. It's quite a change from being, not that many years ago, really a bedroom community, and you've changed that picture significantly.
Right, we like to do our part in job growth in the area, and as I mentioned, the TIF districts that were created specifically for industrial job growth have really been a plus for the village and kicking that effort off. And we have a good comprehensive smattering of businesses. It's not necessarily one large business that's dominating, but good diversity, lots of good small employers creating those hundreds of jobs that are up there now.
That's so important. Diversity in the workforce and in business is what really does strengthen a community. Oftentimes a community will depend on one industry, and if something happens with that industry, then the community really can be at a loss. Whereas the way you're doing
True
it
enough.
with your diversity, that's just exceptional. That's wonderful. Mayor, you had mentioned safety, is certainly an issue everywhere. Tell us how you're addressing that in your community.
Sure. Well, first of all, our police department is contracted out to Winnebago County.
Okay.
And in our police force, we have a total of actually 28.5, because the .5 comes in because there's a sergeant on the second shift that's they're part-time. And that covers a secretary, 2 resource officers within our high schools, and that is always a concern for the village and the mayor to make sure our students are safe and secure while they're at school. And then in the management team, we have Sergeant Doug Bushman, that's our chief on the day shift, and of course the sergeant on the second shift, as I said. We also have 3 detectives that works full-time in the village, and we have 22 police officers. So we are blessed to have a great police force, and I had a statement made to me by an individual that came from Rockford and visited Machesney Park. He said, "I've never seen so many policemen in my life." And that's what we want. I've always said I'd rather have 1 police officer too many than 1 not enough. So safety within our community is high priority for this mayor.
Well, good for you, good for you. So we talked earlier about just people paying taxes and the fact that we all pay taxes.
Sure.
But when you can show a return on that investment, as it were, when people can see their tax dollars doing things in the community, and maybe you can address that a little bit, because I know there's a utility tax, and whenever there's a tax that people get, controversial, but why don't you tell us a little bit about where that money goes? And
Oh,
how it's
absolutely.
used?
Well, our budget for the year 2015 and 16 is a little bit over $7 million in the village. And what a lot of people don't understand when we say we do not have a personal property taxes, that means that we get our revenue from state sales tax. 45.3% of our money comes from the state sales tax. 32% of it comes from the state income tax. And then the other 22.7% comes from license fees and permits, etc. Now, we do have a 1% road sales tax. The first one was introduced in 2008 for a 5-year period of time. And then after when that expired, there was a second one went to referendum, The taxpayers approved another 1%. It goes from 2012 to 2020. All that money goes towards infrastructure and roads, and that means anybody coming into the village of Machesney Park that makes a purchase, they are contributing to our road fund there. For example, we have 14 roads for total reconstruction on the schedule that falls under the 1%. Nice. And we have 57 roads on the schedule for resurfacing. So that gives you an idea what that 1% does for our infrastructure in the village. As you know, we have a utility tax. That was introduced back in March 1st, 2013. That was under the Tom Strickland administration. And then it ends in December 31st, 2019. I've brought this back to our board 2 times now in an effort to take this to the people and let them give their opinion, and both times it didn't get past the board. But the utility tax is also part of our infrastructure too. 55% of that is allowed totally for infrastructure improvement, even though we use more than the 55%. By ordinance, 55% of that goes towards infrastructure.
Okay, that's when you talk about that tax and what it's doing, it's not that large of an amount, but when you pool everybody's money together, what you're able to do with that is really quite remarkable.
It is, and and this is some of the things that we are doing in the village. If you go immediately south of Machesney Town Center from Village Hall, they're starting on Persian Avenue, going all the way down to Gilbert Terrace. We're doing a complete reconstruction of those roads right now between 251 and Victory Lane. Those are actually being done about 2 years ahead of time, some of those streets. Nice. So it shows how aggressive we are in improving our village.
Very nice. Well, thank you for that. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about the wonderful things going on in Machesney Park. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Where were you on September 11th, 2001? The Winnebago County 9/11 Emergency Responders Memorial has been established to remember the lives lost on that fateful day and emergency responders who have lost their lives while serving our communities. You can help by donating $9.11 or by purchasing a commemorative brick that will be placed at the memorial. Please visit Winnebago911memorial.org to learn about future events and how to donate, and find us on Facebook.
Welcome back. Here at Comcast, we are chatting with Mayor Jerry Bolin and Village Administrator Tim Savage from Machesney Park. This has been very interesting, Mayor, and we could probably go on forever. But if you could maybe touch on the quality of life issues that are happening in Machesney Park as you're expanding your economic base with new jobs. When people come here for new jobs, they're looking for a particular quality of life, and you've been addressing that in a number of areas. So if you could maybe highlight some of those, that would be great.
Oh, absolutely. We are fixing to open very shortly a boat ramp. That's at Harlem Road and Shore Drive, or Byre Bridge, north of Byre Bridge immediately. That's definitely a quality of life improvement. We've been trying to get a boat ramp in place down there in a little park so that our residents can bring their boats in and load and unload there, spend the day on the river and whatever, have a great time, and also come back and enjoy a nice park setting from the river. So that will be opening up actually within the next week or so, and that will only expand and get bigger and better all the time. Also, quality of life. I'd like to mention that in the first 2 years that I've been the village president, we've achieved getting the sidewalk, the safety sidewalk down at Ralston School, and also the crosswalk light. That was 30 years in making to
right.
make it happen, but we got it done.
Nice.
We also at the Wesley Road we installed a sidewalk leading down to Maple School. That falls in with safety and also the well-being of the village in general. We also added a cross light at the Alpine Road in front of the Harlem School. That's been requested for years and never got put in, and we got it put in, and it's in operation now and ready for the next school year. Nice. We also got a sidewalk on 3rd Avenue leading down to the Windsor Elementary School. So this is all great for our community and things that we are working on and are looking at. On the Pershing Avenue at Marquette School, when the school opens up, they will also have a sidewalk leading down Pershing down to Machesney School.
That really, you're so right, that it's quality of life, it's safety, it's all those wonderful things that people look to see in a community when they want to come here. So congratulations. Yeah, a lot of those things have been in the making a long time, and you made them happen those first 2 years. Tim, would you elaborate a little bit on the mall? That was one of the anchors in Machesney years ago, and as time evolved, things change. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Sure. We've had a lot of press recently on the village's acquisition of the J.C. Penney building, which was executed about 5 or 6 months ago. And the village is not alone in its having to deal with malls like this. There are many, many single-story, non-interstate visible malls across the nation that have struggled and failed. So around 2008, the village took the initiative to begin to redevelop, rethink that mall as tenants began to leave. And what has really come about and transpired is two separate land uses. Before, we had a 360-degree retail facility that you could drive around and access all the different stores from any angle. And what we're seeing develop now and what we've planned is to have distinct office and very light industry across the former back of the mall, which is now anchored by Practice Velocity. And then at the front of the mall, which has visibility directly onto 251, inline retail with outlots, similar to what you'd see like with the Target development on 173. The anchor is in the back, the outlots are up front. So when the opportunity came up a year and a half ago that J.C. Penney finally made an exit from the village, which really was a regional effort. They closed down 17 stores that were operating under the same fashion, under the same business model. It sat empty for approximately 12 months. And we began to get interest in the building for what I would call, C and D class users that would not have lended itself well to the inline retail successes that we've already had with Big Lots in Burlington, and the great success of Burger King and the bank have renewed their leases out front. So the option to turn our back on that mall was not there. And we saw that purchase of the J.C. Penney building as a play as much to partner with new development, new investment coming in to get retail at a minimum in the front and possibly office in the back, as much as we did kind of a saving of the mall effort. So that's
good for you.
Where we're going with that.
That's a wonderful reuse of that property. So good for you, because it's significant. It has been over the years, and to be able to move it forward and make it viable. Good for you. That's great.
And I should add that that is in a TIF district, and it also is in a what we call a business district established through a state authority. So it's a self-supporting, standalone effort that we're not drawing from the general fund, throwing our money in there from the general proceeds that are obviously needed for roads and other efforts throughout the village.
Right. That's very good. I'm so glad that you've been able to explain that, because oftentimes people don't know what's going on and they wonder, and people will throw something out there and then they think that that's what's happening. So this is really good. Thank you. And Mayor, now 2 years under your belt. You've worked for 2 years. You've got 2 years left on your term. What are you thinking? Are you thinking about the future?
Absolutely, Joan. I will definitely run for re-election. The first 2 years has been, as I said, very aggressive. I can't get done in the next 2 years what I want to accomplish in the village of Machesney Park. I think we have a great team that's working together at the village, staff and so forth. And obviously we've proven that we are moving things forward. I have a lot more to accomplish that I know I can't get done in the next 2 years for many reasons, because there's many entities that are involved with it, IDOT, Winnebago County, etc. But Machesney Park, again, is the place to be, the place to go, and the place to stay, because we are going to continue to be aggressive and expand Machesney Park business. I'm not done with the Ralston Road yet. I want to go west across the river to Highway 2 as an example, because I believe there's growth potential there. So that takes time to do, and a lot of people coming together, sitting down at the table and making agreements to make that happen. Again, my concern for the village has always been continual improvement, and I think we've been doing that from day one, the day I walked in the office. It started then. Rockford is transforming Rockford. We've been transforming Machesney Park, and we'll continue to do so.
That's wonderful, and it is what you said about transforming. It's so nice to see these regional efforts going on. The transformation is happening in the region. It's not just Rockford, it's you, and it's that wonderful collaboration. And it's been fun and interesting for me to watch what you've been doing. I'm just so taken with the way you have been a very good leader, and you've collaborated with people, and that's how we go forward. You know, you look for the positive. The Community Family Festival that you started last year, and what a wonderful time for your families to come together. Tell us just a little bit about why you and your wife was so instrumental, why you started that.
Well, when I came into the village, I think the first staff meeting that I came into, I laid a newspaper down and asked everybody to look at it. It was the goal section in the Register Star paper, and I just said, show me what I can do in Machesney Park this weekend, according to the paper. And that kind of started the ball rolling.
Oh, interesting.
And we've been moving forward ever since. We've been very fortunate. My wife Linda has started a nonprofit organization, Friends of Machesney Park. They accomplished putting on the first Machesney Park Family Fest back in 2014. We just did another one July 11th this year. It is very successful. We had a little rain, but overall it was very successful.
Oh, yeah.
And in that group, you know, there's a long list of people that came aboard that were sponsors of that and were involved with that. And it just shows you our community is hungry to do something within their community, and I think that's great. Another example, we have a farmers market that has started since I've been in office. That was initiated by the pastor of GPS Church, came into my office and said, I would like to do something to better Machesney Park. And we talked for a few minutes, and the farmers market came up. He liked the idea, he took it and ran with it, and now we have a farmers market. It's every Thursday at the GPS Church, 3 to 7 p.m., and that is growing also. So that's just an example of everybody working together, working as a team. It's not one person that makes it happen, it's a whole bunch of people. So.
Right. Well, just thank you so much for sharing. Now, we've covered a lot of issues here. Is there anything that either of you can think of that you'd like to add to the discussion here? We just have a couple of minutes left, but is Is there anything that we haven't touched on or something else you'd like to elaborate on for just a minute?
Yes, I would like to say something about the Harlem School District.
Oh, okay.
District 122 has been a very aggressive and an outstanding partner with the village, along with Harlem Community Center. At the Harlem, we all work together, and we got the new Harlem turf in. That
Yes.
benefits everybody in our village and those that are coming to the Harlem District to play the football, basketball, or whatever, Special Olympics. It's just a huge win for our community.
It really is. It really is. Well, this has been just delightful to have this conversation. Tim, is there anything else that you'd like to add? You've been working really hard at this too, I know.
I have, and you mentioned regionalism, and we've also made it a priority over the last couple of years to make sure that we're involved, make sure that we're connected with our other growth partners in the area, the county, the city of Rockford, notably our involvement with RAEDC and RMAP.
Right.
And more recently, the Better Roads Initiative that had great success 5 years ago, and the village was very involved with Better Roads in taking our regional message down to Springfield and ensuring that we get those dollars back due to the area, because we're contributing and we need those dollars to come back in transportation. And we make it a point to stay involved, stay connected, and work with our regional partners to make things happen for the whole area.
Right. And yes, what is that? A rising ship raises all boats.
Rising
or something?
tide lifts all boats.
Lifts all boats. Perfect. So you guys are
Absolutely.
part of that rising tide, and we're all lifting, and that's great. So thank you so much. This has been wonderful to have you both here, and so happy to share your information with our community. So
Glad to be here.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
And
John.
everybody's going to be able to watch this. So thank you for tuning in, and it was just a pleasure to have both the mayor and village administrator here from Machesney Park. So until next time, this is Comcast, connecting with our community.